Hi, welcome to the Balancing Act, the interview series that takes a behind the scenes look at business, the focus on entrepreneurs, executives, leaders who have succeeded, and more importantly, what they learned through the process. I'm your host, Cary Shields. Today, we're fortunate to be joined by Noah Lyons. He's co-founder of the Highball Agency. Noah, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Cary, for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So if you would, why don't you get us started by introducing us to Noah? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Noah. I'm 25 years old, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I grew up here, and then I went to college, University of Kentucky in Lexington, and then I moved back here during COVID when I graduated.
Very good, very good. Did you was 20 your graduating year?
2020, yes. So the
2020?
year of COVID, right
Yeah.
there, and I was actually on spring break, my senior year spring break of college, and I was in Cabo in Mexico. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
right around the time when they were going to shut down the border. And
Mhm.
so I left early.
Good move, smart move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they cut it off short.
very cool, very cool. So, the Highball Agency, where did that idea come from? What inspired that idea?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting path to where it's a path that I didn't think we were going to go down, and I didn't think we were going to end up here when we started doing this kind of work.
Okay.
But I'm happy to walk you through the story.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of a long one, and it does start right after spring break, uh,
All right.
and COVID there. So uh, Colin, my co-founder, Highball, he was working at an experiential marketing company throughout college and was interning there, and then was planning on working there once we graduated. So he was doing some work there during that time, and they were doing experiential events. And as you know, when COVID struck, events completely shut down.
Yes.
So the idea that they had was to take these events and turn them virtual into live streams. So
Okay.
Colin called me. We had a conversation about it, about what it would, because I had some prior video production experience, some
Mhm.
freelance stuff, just little small things. I always had a GoPro, and
Yes.
like to do that kind of stuff. And I was like, heck, I need a job. So let's figure it out and see if we can figure out live production. Right. So uh, we started doing those live streams for that company. And we ended up producing probably over 100 live streams. And these were for brands in the spirit space.
Mhm.
So bourbon, tequila,
Oh, wow.
vodka. So we sent out tasting kits, and we invited people to make make drinks and do tastings alongside whiskey educators that were already on the team there at the
Yeah.
experiential marketing company. And so our biggest challenge with that was we've never done a live stream before, and I barely knew how to use a camera, but I did a little bit. So
Sure.
we went on to YouTube University, figured it out that way,
Mhm.
and just made it happen. A lot of failures, but a lot of successes with that. Uh, but it was fun, and it was a great learning experience. And so, if you're wondering how Highball came from that, um, as things started to go back to normal and the company started to do more experiences outside of the virtual space,
Mhm.
these brands that worked experientially with this company, they
Mhm.
started to ask us to do creative work and create uh, productions, graphic design, uh, some
Mm.
website design, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And we started doing that, and then that's where we saw this need where these companies, these big liquor companies, they were coming to a smaller agency for this kind of work instead of the big agencies that had on retainer. And the
Yeah.
reason the reason for that was these big companies, obviously they have these huge retainers and then they charge on
Mhm.
top of that. So, they're paying these huge price tags for this work that could be done really quick, efficiently, and they can speak directly to us. And so that's kind of where we found our niche, was being the smaller agency with faster deliverables at the
Yes. Okay.
same quality as this, New York, LA agency. And
Okay.
so
Yeah.
once we started to dig into that a little bit, um, we figured it would be smart if we broke off from this experiential marketing company. And so they invested their their money and their time and gave us support to create Highball under their umbrella. So
Okay.
that's how we started that. And then now we have the opportunity to reach out to all these other different spirits brands that weren't under this specific brand's portfolio.
Mhm.
So we can drive more revenue that way with our, you know,
Yes.
with our newfound leverage.
Yeah. It.
So that's kind of how Highball happened in the last 4 years.
Yeah. That's a great story. It's and in my experience with most of the companies that I've worked with and in some sort of relationship, not worked for, but that they almost all have they they do something and then they find the need. It's from the doing it, just something. So good on, and it's what a great thing. I was going to ask I thought I think I'm hearing experiential, and I thought, but am I hearing him wrong? So, but you said it, I get it. So, and literally like sending out the kits so they could sit down and experience it. And would it be like this, like this kind of exchange where they would make it?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Is
So
this,
we go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying, is this like on YouTube or anything where people will,
So none of them are public facing. They were
okay.
live events,
Oh,
and they
nice.
were live and private events for all. I mean, hell, I don't know if I can talk about the specific companies that we worked with for
Yeah.
this, but they were pretty large companies.
Okay. So yeah, it
And
was for
and and
event. Yeah.
they would have their staff. It would almost be like for an enjoyment. So
That's wonderful.
they would pay to have us
Mhm.
educate them on whiskey or tequila or bourbon or vodka, and then we would kind of create this run of show of like, hey, here's the history of this, the brand, and then here's a cocktail, and here's what you should get with these tasting notes, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. And we had industry experts in the studio that we built, um, giving this education.
Give them
So
the education part. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
is
it was really cool, and it just kind of fell in our lap, and we were like, okay,
Mhm.
how do we do this? And that's we ended up figuring it out, and actually one of the now remembered it. One one of the resources that we used, um, besides YouTube, was churches, because
Oh yeah.
churches have just in like the bigger churches.
Mhm.
Um, they have insane live production setups, and so we try to mimic what they
Oh,
had going on, and implement that into our studio with the resources that we had at that time.
oh,
So
nice. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Oh, very cool. So 4 years, the ball is 4 years old now. Um, I'll ask and you don't have to answer, or you can just give a generic answer. It's a number question, tens, twenties, hundreds. Is what's your employee count at this point in time, 4 years in?
yeah. Actually, so that's a great question, Cary, because that is one of our goals, is to stay small. And it was actually one of the challenges that we first had, was we wanted to hire and kind of build this team out before we got the business, right? And
Mhm.
then when we were doing that, we're like, okay, one, we got to get the business first, right? And two, uh, we figured out that, or we remembered, one of the reasons why we were having such success was because we are small and we're a tight-knit team, and there's not so many hoops to jump through like the bigger agencies have. So, for example, like an agency, I'm not going to reference a specific agency, but say an agency in New York that kind of does similar work to us, they have, 3 account managers and then like a specific brand person, and then they have the production team, and then they outsource a bunch of the production work. And for a brand manager at a liquor brand to actually get work done in a timely manner without anything going wrong, it takes months.
It takes months. Yes.
And it's something that we can do. And, realistically, if we planned it right, we can do it in a day.
Yes.
So
yeah, you're spot on from my experience. I worked with an individual that was in the dental field, and basically he had a couple of things running, but the thing that I worked with him on was basically what the experiential, I think, for the dental field. So as a person, you can buy a dental entity, and then you obtain your staff. It's like any other team. So and the team consists of extreme executives, including a doctor, a dentist. So it's real staff, and that's real cost. But from the outside view, it's just another business, and those are cost niches, and everyone understands it. And so businesses like that, the owners come and go, and the guy that I worked with helped them with that process, understanding that. And what he did, which was similar to you, he had competitors in other areas, and they were faster. They were fat, and that was his niche. That's where his clients are, not franchises, dental owners, dental administration owners, I guess. Yeah. It's why. So, and I love the fact that you talked about that tight knit team and how you can turn that over. Um, how did you know that? How did you know the importance of that tight knit?
well, it's you're gonna like the answer to this one, right? Because you're uh so from mentorship, right? So
Yeah.
the executives at the experiential marketing company, their goal, I mean, they have 100+ employees,
Yeah.
but they're because they're executing all these events across the country,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
their base team is very small, and they communicate regularly, and it's almost like a family, right?
Mm.
So they're really close to one another, and that's why these companies work with them. Not only because they do good work, because they're small and you can speak directly to the person that's running the operation. And
Sure. Yeah.
so that's how we figured that out. We didn't think that at first, because obviously we're like, oh, we know everything, and we're young, the mindset um that you had getting right out of college. So that's kind of how we figured that out. And we wouldn't have been able to do that unless we had that guidance.
Wow. Very cool. And nice credit to that, that it's like everything else. Again, it's the doing, then you find it. And that guidance will come out of the experience. So that's really neat. So who is Highball's client or customer? If you can't name a name, you can describe an entity. Who
Yes,
out
absolutely.
there wants to
Yes.
know you? Yes.
Yes. So well, it's funny. We have it's one of our, we fell into this niche of
Mhm.
the spirits industry, right? So at first our value was, quick turnaround times at a lower cost than these big agencies with the
Mhm.
same deliverable. But we've added one more now that we've had some time in this space. Now we're an expert, right? Now we're an
Mhm.
expert at marketing in the spirits industry. We know how
Mhm.
bottles should look on shelves. We know that you can't pour straight out of a whiskey bottle into a glass without a measurement tool. We know these specific things that, a lot of brand managers at these liquor companies don't know.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, us being a part of it for 4 years, we've already seen people come and go at some of the companies that we've worked with.
Yeah.
So at some point, we become more experienced than they are at their, and I think that's super valuable. So,
Yes.
if
Yeah.
our ideal customer is in the spirit space, it's a customer that is a CMO, a brand manager, a marketing manager
Mhm.
at a spirits-based company that is looking for like marketing strategy, production, graphic design, um, and running digital ads. So that's our ideal customer.
It's funny. It makes me think of someone. I have a couple of acquaintances that one's closer than the other, but they've got a new spirit. Like they've got a brand new. This is our new product. It's brand new. You're like if it's bourbon and the staples of bourbon, if their product is bourbon, it's a brand new bourbon. However they're putting it together, wherever they're getting it, whatever their formula is or the recipe. Now, the one I'm going to ask him if he knows you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I make
And
sure
if
he,
he
I'm
doesn't,
sure they have a game plan, but how many new recipe owners pop up annually? Like, how often do you see, like, I've got a new bourbon recipe, or I got a new tequila, or vodka? Do you see that annually? Like, is that
oh my
regular
gosh, I couldn't even tell you how many there are. There's thousands. It
all
is
the
insane.
time? That's crazy.
They're well, they're
So if
popping
they're
up all the
new,
time. Well, it's the what so it's not necessarily the liquid that's new, it's the brand that's new. So a lot of brands, they source their liquid from a distillery.
mhm,
And they don't distill their own liquid. So that's why there's so many that's popping up.
yeah,
And a lot of them are like, 8,000 case brands, which is a very small amount compared to like um, I don't want to name any specific names, but
yeah,
like a world-renowned
a
brand,
major, right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
a major brand. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Wow.
but so there's a lot of opportunity there, but that's also one of our struggles. Like you gotta talk to the right people, and that's something that we're constantly working on is trying to find the right people to talk to at the right time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. So, yeah, that's always one of my questions is just, what is the challenge? So there's definitely a challenge for Highball is making those connections. Like you're marketing and getting everybody else's name known. But meanwhile, who's making Highball's name known? Yeah. So
yeah,
what other challenges, like that you guys have on a daily or quarterly, you know?
yeah. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is the thing that my co-founder and I are always discussing, and it's kind of the war or the battle between working in the business and on the business.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
we're not necessarily wasting time working in the business because we're doing work, but we are wasting time because we're not working on growth, right? So we're not going out and actively getting new business if we're fulfilling business that's already been um,
Yes. Yeah.
that's already there. So
Yeah.
it's that's probably our biggest challenge, and to combat that, we've hired uh, a person that can help with our workload on
Hmm.
the DP and editing side of things, like production. And so that gives us a lot of free time because
Yeah. Yeah.
production is a huge portion of our workload. And having that person hired, I mean, that was probably one of our best decisions because one, he has 20 years of experience in the industry working on
Oh,
Netflix films, feature films, documentaries, all
mhm.
across the world. So I don't know how the heck we got him, but I'm super blessed. We're always learning something from him every day, if you
Yeah.
ever have a question, it's awesome to be able to ask them. So
Yeah.
that's that has helped with that challenge. But I mean, our biggest challenge is just growth, right?
Yes.
And not staying focused on growth 24/7.
Mm.
So
Yeah. The
definitely.
balance is truly amazing. Like it really, it's an old, analogy, but the spinning plates, it is so much like the spinning plates, you know, you get, and the more talented, the more plates you can keep constantly spinning in the room, Um, so yeah, so you can't work on growth if you can't fulfill the order, and you can't just work on fulfillment and not get the next assignment. It's just on and on and on. And every business owner knows that and is going through those seasons, not just the regular seasons, the seasons per quarter, basically that
Mhm.
13-week run. And I'm a big believer of the 13-week, things they just dramatically change, dramatically within 13 weeks. 13 weeks from now, it'll be a different year for you and a different year for many. And so that's an interesting fact. And so, yeah, and I bet, like if you could throw a percentage at, like you brought on the person that can help you with that, that production work. And they get all those files, right? Of video files, audio files, stuff to work with. And then they have to edit it down and make something out of it. Just that this new person, would you say, do you feel like you freed up a third of your time out of that, a half of your time? Like, you know, how many hours are you putting in a week, would you say?
Oh, like personally?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be too embarrassing. A lot. More,
It's
I would say more than average. But since this new hire, um, you know, actually at first that percentage increased
your work
because,
was okay.
yeah, the work, it increased because I mean, you got to show them what we're
What
doing, right?
right.
Um, but it's slowly decreasing and decreasing and decreasing and decreasing, and he's becoming more comfortable. And
Very cool.
it's and now we're seeing the benefits of bringing someone on. So I think that was it's worth the investment, not only from a financial standpoint, but also from a time standpoint, because
Yeah.
it's just every day it gives us, Colin, my co-founder, and I more time to work on the business.
Yeah.
So
I think it's great. You've passed, the second business milestone. The first is the first year. Many just throw in the towel the first year. And the second milestone is that third year, And so you're definitely into the next milestone, which the percentage of success literally beyond the third year and on is much higher. I mean, there's so many that, and there's multiple reasons that throw into those numbers as to why someone just bags something in the first year. Most likely something came along, they're like, oh yeah, I don't need to do this. And so, that's part of that number. But the same with that experience, you bring this person on and you're getting them trained, they're getting going, you can see the light, like the loads getting lighter. And so you're getting more and more time to look towards the future, which is perfect time because again, having passed that hurdle of the 3 years, you're in your fourth year or finished 4 years, you're already 4 years done.
well, let's see, you're 2020, so
Yeah, you're
that's
definitely in the
the
fourth
four.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's approaching the fourth year. Yeah. So
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And you've already identified things, just like you found the niche, you found the next need to keep, it on the rail and everything moving forward. So through this experience, having, surpassed the first two hurdles of being a business owner, what would you share to someone who's in their first year, of their business? What thing would you say keep your eye and mind on, if there's anything? What would you suggest?
yeah, absolutely. Well, one, we wouldn't be able to do it without support from our parent company, right? Because,
Mhm.
just continued like mentorship and support. And that actually would be my suggestion would be to, like if you can't fund or come up with the money on your own to start a business or start a business with low capital, like it I didn't even know it was an option to run a business this way, right? It's
Okay.
to, ask a business to create another business
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
underneath an umbrella of another business. So
Yeah.
like one, like that makes everything a lot less stressful, right? Because you have just so much support.
Oh,
And
yes.
two, it's like it's almost like it's like a safety net. So, that's super helpful.
Mhm.
Um, and allows us, it takes stress off our back and allows us to actually grow and to not have to worry about, like, are we gonna, if we can't close this deal, are we not going to be able to pay our employee? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, um, yes, that would be that would be the one thing. And then the other thing that I would kind of advice that I would give, um, would be to embrace changes in technology, and then also to be ready to pivot your entire business strategy. So, you know, from a pivoting standpoint, we started off doing live streams, and we started doing kind of this like graphics and video production and stuff like that, and now we've pivoted to creating these full campaigns of like, hey, this is strategy for the launch of this brand, and this is the production that should go along with it. These are all the assets that need to be created, and then we create the assets, and then we tell them where to place it. So like,
Yes.
be ready to go different directions. And then we went a lot of different directions before that too. It wasn't just a super linear timeline like that. We played around with like different like small business owner content marketing and
Mhm.
creating retainer packages around that,
Oh,
and we still
nice.
have some of that in our wheelhouse, where we have retainers for small business owners that want to create content. But yeah, be ready to pivot, and then and embrace changes in technology. We're always searching and learning about, especially in the last 6 months, using AI to help us speed up processes and really improve the quality of. I mean, it really is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
plug in and to save time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you know
That's great, great advice. I mean, and plus the touch on the financing. I mean, I've known people who uh, had companies didn't feel they needed financing, and I watched them, and they labored with their self-finance because it was literally coming out of their pocket. So what they didn't put into their equation was, sure, they were safeguarding their ownership by self-funding, but what they could not stop themselves from doing was try to never buy anything. And so they were always falling short of what was in the market. And no sooner did any idea come about, you're like, we got a great idea. Wow, there's a lot of competitors with my idea. Who knew? And so he was immediately always behind the competitor, just look, feel everything. Whereas an investor to come in and really look at it broadly, like, they're just so removed that they have really good input. But
yeah,
personally, yeah, with your hands at the wheel, knowing to pivot, is a key thing. That's a great, great bit of knowledge for new business owners. The technology, I mean, except for old people like me, I think most are pretty quick to. I think they're comfortable with technology now. I think the hardest part about technology is finding one that everybody doesn't just then abandon, you know. And you're left with the one you just learned. There's so much new technology that some's always eliminating the prior one. So, but just don't get into those weeds. Just embrace the technology and grow. Yeah, that's great. Great
Yeah.
suggestion.
I mean, I would even say that that's one of our differences, and that's something that makes us stand out is that um from a culture standpoint too in the office,
Mm.
we're not stuck in our ways when it comes to systems and processes. And
Mhm.
we're always open to trying new uh softwares and programs and ways of doing things like every single day. Like if you told me today that it's what is it, almost 3 o'clock, that there's a better way to process payments or to deliver um, content to clients,
Yes.
then
Mhm.
I'm gonna immediately look into that and see what it takes to implement that into our processes.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. Well, Noah, to close it, because I like to keep these short because most people are listening to these things in a short period. The
Yeah,
last thing
small
I
attention
would,
spans.
yeah, yeah, and we're all busy, so if you can, yeah, I like to try and keep it at a level that someone gets more information at a short blip. So again, great advice. Watch, don't be afraid of technology. Prepare for pivoting, and look into that external force that wants to come in with some funding because and unless they want to stand at the helm of a company they don't know, then they're going to be a good force because they're going to have good fiscal thought to bring money in. They always will. So that's great advice. All right. So Noah, if someone would like to know a little more about you, about the Highball Agency, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, Carrie. Absolutely. So you can go to our website, thehighballagency.com, or
Mhm.
you can visit us on Instagram, where we're super active, where my co-founder Colin loves to brag about us
Yes.
and all of our good work. And that is at Highball Agency.
Okay.
And then, of course, you can email me at noah@thehighballagency.com. And then you can call me at absolutely any time, ask me any question. And my phone number is 502-593-4640.
Very cool. Very good. Noah, great job. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining the Balancing Act today and giving us another great series. I wish you the best of luck.